If you venture down the Old Kent Road in southeast London, you'll find a boxing pub dedicated to the most popular fighter Britain's ever produced, Henry Cooper, known to one and all as our Henry. No airs or graces, just a decent, very British bloke and a symbol of sportsmanship. Even for today's boxers, Henry's fights with the great Muhammad Ali are part of ring legend.
I'm not training too hard for this bum. Henry Cooper's nothing to me. If this bum go over 5 rounds, I won't return to the United States for 30 days.
Cooper's left eyebrow spurts blood. It's gushing out just like a burst pipe. Ali piles on the pressure, raining punches in all directions, and still the blood spurts everywhere. A second look, and it's all over. It's all over.
It's a great atmosphere. They all say in showbiz it's the smell of the grease paint, roar of the crowd, and it's much the same in boxing. Showbiz and boxing are very much the same. Once you've been in the gym, once you've been in the dressing room, you smell liniment, you smell oils, you get that in your system, blood. It's there. It's hard to shake.
In the ring, Henry had to be hard and mean. He was famed for a trademark punch christened Henry's hammer by the press, a perfect left hook that put the lights out for many an opponent. Even the normally cocky Ali showed plenty of respect for it.
Well, I'm going to do my best to stay away from it, and that's the only thing that I'm watching and worrying about is his left hook.
Henry Cooper broke all records, winning 3 Lonsdale belts outright as he dominated the British and European scene for a decade and more. But away from the ring, he's devoted to his Italian-born wife, Albina. They live in comfort in a leafy North London suburb.
Dear single friend, who's single?
I don't know.
Dear single friend, we got an invite this time.
God knows.
Yeah, we'll give that a miss. You don't get too many pro fighters coming from this area in Hendon. No, I mean, you've got to come from a working class and you've got a working background. I mean, professional boxing is a business. It's a way of earning money. It's a necessity. It's a need to get out of the environment which you're living in that motivates professional boxers. And you've got to come, as I say, you've got to come from working class to poor class family. So you went into professional boxing to better your life and to get out of that environment.
His comfortable retirement is in contrast to the early days when Henry was an 11 pounds a week plasterer who boxed for fun.
Well, I think you've got to remember where you come and remember your roots. Yeah, I mean, you don't harp on it. You don't keep throwing it down people's throats. But it's nice for me to remember.
Henry Cooper was born in the depressed 30s, 20 minutes before his twin brother George. They were given a decent upbringing through the war years in South London. But the twins were high-spirited. They became boyhood sparring partners for each other.
I can always remember Uncle John bringing these gloves round. Oh, me and my brother, we went potty, you know, me and my twin brother, and we used to, and if ever there was a family get-together, me and George would put them on, and we'd knock lumps off each other. Like just showing off in front of the family, because we loved, I mean, they were our pride and joy, you know. Oh, yeah, but that's, and basically that's how it all started.
The twins remained close. George gave up his boxing career and was in Henry's corner as he swept aside the likes of Joe Erskine, Dick Richardson and Brian London. And there were new young stars to consider, like Billy Walker. Henry's pride was at stake.
Basically, it's a thing, you don't want to let people down. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let your manager and your trainer, all them people who've, and then all your supporters, because you know you have people who follow you, and it's all those things in your back of your mind. When you get a dig on the chin and you're on the floor and you think it's them things that come back to you. I mean, if it was just easy and you was there for the money, I could have said, oh, sorry, I might as well stay down. But no, it's your pride, basically, that gets you up, and the thought of all them other people who've done so much for you that make you get up in the end.
But it was in 1963 that Henry Cooper won his seemingly everlasting fame, the night he gave a young braggart called Cassius Clay the scare of his life.
I was roughing him up. I mean, I had his nose bleeding from the first round onwards because I was catching with uppercuts. Ali had a very sort of amateurish habit of jerking his head backwards. If you showed him a left hand, he jerked his head backwards. And in that particular round, when I caught him with a left hook, I'd shown him about 3 or 4 left hands, and he'd gone back, and he'd gone back as far as he could because he was trapped on the ropes. And then I had the hook off. I could hook off the jab. So after the 4th jab, I caught him with a hook, and he couldn't get away, and down he went. Eyes tell you everything. Boxers only look at another fighter's eyes. Your eyes tell you everything. Eyes register pain, they register joy, they tell you everything. And if when I hit a fellow with a left hook, the eyes told me everything. You could see a blank look come over, and you knew when he was in trouble, when Ali was in trouble, when he went down.
As Clay sat glassy-eyed in his corner, the story goes that trainer Angelo Dundee bought vital recovery time by slitting his glove, and in the time they took looking for a new one, Clay's head cleared. That gamesmanship paid off. In the very next round, Cooper's eye began streaming blood, and Clay had got the 5th round win he'd always predicted. "23 years later, the old warriors met in the very same Wembley ring, only this time as friends in suits. The self-proclaimed greatest was back in London as world champion in 1966 to meet Cooper again. The fight grossed more money than the World Cup final at Wembley, and Ali wasn't calling Cooper a bum this time.
This time there will be no predictions, and I believe I will win, but I'm not actually predicting the outcome.
He always says that the punch I called him with, the left hook, was the hardest punch he ever took in boxing. He said Cooper hit me so hard, he said he didn't only shake me, he shook my relations in Africa. And that to me is a pretty good line. And I'll have that coming from the great man himself. Yeah.
The second fight wasn't nearly so dramatic. Ali was more respectful. He danced and jabbed until Henry's eyes cut up terribly. They had to stop it in round 6.
So on 2 occasions, Ali didn't beat me because he was a better boxer, he was a better puncher. He beat me because I had a weakness around the eye, because the eye opened up. So if I'd have been a Negro with negroid features, flat or rounder features, which Negroes have, I would have been world heavyweight champion. It's as simple as that, I think, anyway, yeah.
Boxing at world-class level is a whole-time occupation. So Cooper's Italian-born wife, Albina, is charged with the responsibility of running the family greengrocery store in Wembley. Her only contact with her fighting husband during the training period is by telephone.
Henry, the ultimate British bulldog, was so devoted to his Italian wife that he became a Catholic.
Whatever I achieved, I wouldn't achieve half without Albina, because she's been there right behind me, supporting me, and it's been marvellous.
But Albina found the fights impossible to watch.
She didn't like it. She never ever came and watched me box. When I fought Ali the second time in '66 for the world title, she came because I wanted her there, but she ate it. I mean, she had her nose buried in the programme all night. She couldn't bear it. She never ever watched it.
If you fall for someone, I don't think that you really think about the profession, do you? If I would have been older and knew what was going on, then I think you think, oh gosh. But when you're young, and Henry was lovely, so it didn't really matter.
One of Henry's main motivations has been providing for the family so that his sons never have to expose themselves to anything much more dangerous than clay pigeon shooting. The recession has meant harder times for Cooper, who sadly was forced to auction his Lonsdale belts.
We're not all blind.
He'll no doubt bounce back, though, with the same resilience he often displayed on the ropes in a fight. Henry just as accurate with the rifle as he always was with those lancing left jabs. It's now over 20 years since he retired after that controversial fight with a young Joe Bugner. The verdict in that contest has caused arguments which still rage.
I dominated British boxing, heavyweight boxing, for the last 10, 11 years. They thought Bugner was the blue-eyed boy, he was ready to take over, and I think, right, they gave him the verdict.
To this day, Cooper believes he was robbed.
I still think I won the fight by half a point, which was 2 rounds. I still think I'd done enough to win that fight. You've only got to look at that fight. He still looked the most surprised man in the hall when he got it.
But referee Harry Gibbs made Bugner a narrow winner. Cooper's never really forgiven him. He was dumbfounded, and with tears in his eyes, he told the press, "Gentlemen, that was my last fight. There'd be no comebacks."
I think the voices inside you, when them voices and people tell you it's time to quit, you've made the right decision. Now, any fighter who retires and has, I don't know, a year out of retirement, 2 years out of retirement, when he comes back, he can't be better. There's no way he can be any better than he was previous. In fact, he's going to be worse.
Henry is still part of the big fight scene behind the radio microphone, and still his profile couldn't be higher.
You want to keep your face as fit as your body, this is the stuff. Brut 33 after shave, with a great smell of brut. It keeps your face in great shape. Lovely.
It's lovely, and I think, yeah, please God, you know, people still want to come up and shake hands. They still want to say hello, and they still want autographs. And while people do that, they're paying you a compliment.
Henry Cooper, OBE, had to be tough, even brutal in the ring. His trade demanded it. But away from boxing, you'll never hear a word uttered against him. A kind, affable man who's become a national institution.
I mean, if you're a boxer or a person, you've got to be a bit of a show-off. Yeah, I enjoy it, and that's how I earn my living. When people don't recognise me and they don't want to come up and say hello, well, then my days are over. I think that's going to be a great tragedy if it ever happens. It'd be a shame.
He never did become heavyweight champion of the world, but just by being our enemy, he perhaps won something much more valuable, a place in his nation's hearts forever.